Hi, welcome to the energy update for the last week of April. So yeah, welcome to the Love and Science channel. We'll be looking at the energy for April 23rd through April 29th and a little bit of April 30th as well, because we will be having a solar eclipse on that day. The energy this week. So Taurus season in general is going to be a roller coaster, and it's even going to be sometimes like a day-to-day thing throughout the week. So really making sure that you're grounded, really paying attention to, your focus and the things that you're doing. It is going to be a little bit fun. It's interesting as we get closer to this first solar eclipse, everybody's kind of talking about, do we manifest, do we not manifest, that kind of thing. And we'll talk about it a little more when we get there and we look at the chart as to why it would be possible for you to manifest things under this solar eclipse. However, eclipse season is generally about letting things go and eclipsing things out of your life. Even if it's like bad habits that you have to eclipse out of your life, things like that. It's not necessarily monetary or people or whatever. Sometimes it's a bad attitude. That's that kind of stuff. But so we'll talk about that eclipse stuff. We have so many other things happening this week. We have Pluto going retrograde. We have Mercury starting his pre-shadow retrograde. Venus will conjunct Neptune and Jupiter this week. So many things. So let's take a look at, and I triple checked my typing skills and all of the things. I looked at it several times. And so hopefully everything comes out right this week. So I will be sharing two different screens. I'll stop at the beginning of the first screen so you guys can take a screenshot, and then we'll do the second one in the same way. We had to do that because there's just so much going on this week. So April 23rd through April 29th, we have Saturday. Wow. Saturday, April 23rd, the third quarter Aquarius moon. That box up there in the corner is having a hard time for you guys to see this, but the third quarter Aquarius moon will square the sun in Taurus and a late night moon sextile to Chiron in Aries, and then also a square of Uranus to Uranus in Taurus. So, the third quarter moon is all about letting go, letting things go. And that's a really powerful thing during eclipse season as we get to the new moon solar eclipse. Mercury in Taurus will also join up with the North Node on Saturday as well. We have, it's doing it again. Okay. I think it's because I had the cursor on there. I didn't mean to do that. Sunday, April 24th, we have the moon in Aquarius joining Saturn and square Mercury in Taurus. And then we will also have Mercury square Saturn, and we will have Mercury sextile Neptune in Pisces. So the first 2 days with that Aquarius moon, that weekend. So the weekend energy it's going to be kind of somber. I think, I mean, it's not going to be one of those things that's really exciting. I think that people can possibly be triggered, especially with that square to Uranus. Like, be very careful if you're out and about Saturday night. If the weather's really nice and you're out partying or whatever, you're out celebrating or something, be very careful. With the moon sextile Chiron and square Uranus, and the Mercury joining the North Node, like accidents that could really be a thing, like just hurting yourself in general. Because you're just because you're not paying attention, you're, not paying attention to what's going on. So this weekend, just really just watch your environment, be extra aware of your environment. And that sextile to Neptune also with, communication is going to be a little hard also on Sunday. So Monday, we have the 25th, we have the moon in Pisces and will be sextile the sun in Taurus. And the moon in Pisces will also conjoin Mars in Pisces as well. It's misspelled. See, even when I looked at it 3 times, Pisces, look at that. I missed an S there. Wow. Telling you guys, I always find it when I'm doing it with you guys. I can look at it 3, 4, 600 times before we do this, and then I catch it while we're doing it. So there you go. So this is going to be an interesting day because we're coming off of a really somber kind of weekend and then going into the Pisces moon. It's just it'll just be very heavy. I feel like there's just going to be a lot of heaviness that's happening the beginning of the week. And then Tuesday, April 26th, Pisces moon sextile Uranus. And then Mercury will begin the pre-shadow period in Taurus at 26 degrees. And we will talk about what that means. If you want to go ahead and take a screenshot, I wish that I could, if I move this box, I don't know if it shows up on yours. I wish the box would just be on the other side. So if you can, next slide. Wednesday, April 27th, we have the moon in Pisces joining Neptune and joining Jupiter before the evening ingress to Aries. And then Mercury will also sextile Jupiter on the 27th, and Venus will conjunct Neptune on the 27th. So yeah, I really like that energy, actually. I really like it. I think that for some people, it'll be a little bit jolting, the ingress, the moon ingress to Aries in the evening, but I really like Wednesday for a lot of creative stuff in a big way. We'll talk about that. Thursday, April 28th, we have the moon in Aries joining Chiron, and Mercury will trine Pluto. So talking about the roller coaster, we're going from like, this is going to be, you know, and it may even be kind of a heavy, again, it depends on where you are in your journey. That Pisces moon, it could just be very, very heavy on your soul. Moving on to the Aries moon, going from that heaviness on your soul to your temperament and your ego getting involved, and that Aries moon joining Chiron, triggering all of your wounds. You know, it can be quite a, you know, with Mercury and Pluto. So we'll talk about that too. Lots of stuff happening. Friday, April 29th, the Aries moon sextile to Saturn. And then in the evening, the moon will ingress to Taurus. Mercury will ingress Gemini on Friday, April 29th until May 22nd. And then Pluto will begin retrograde on Friday at 28 degrees. And I think it's in the evening when Pluto begins retrograde on Friday. And then we have the eclipse. So bonus, go ahead and take your screenshot. Bonus Saturday, April 30th, we'll have the solar eclipse in Taurus at 10 degrees at 4:28 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And Uranus is right there at 14 degrees. And then actually, I didn't even put this down here, but the North Node is right there at 22 degrees as well. So after the moon eclipses the sun, or the sun, you know, there will be, you know, joining Uranus and then joining the North Node too. And then we have Venus conjunct Jupiter that same day, and Venus sextile Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So that's sort of, when we look at this chart, we'll talk about why a lot of people are talking like, oh yeah, this would be a great time to manifest money or manifest abundance or manifest relationships. And, you know, really, if you are, if you know how to work with the energy well, and you know how to manifest with the energy well, then it probably wouldn't be such a bad idea during the solar eclipse to just put some intentions out in the universe. I don't know that I would do a whole ritual around it. I'm not really into rituals much anymore either, just because I know that I don't need pieces of paper and candles and all of that stuff to put my intentions out there. Does it help? Sure. Sometimes it could. But I just do it so much on the day-to-day, I'm manifesting constantly on a, minute by minute, hour by hour. And when you find that kind of flow, when you realize that the way that you're focusing and your intentions that you're setting are in kind of constant manifesting mode, you don't need the moon cycles to nudge you along. You are aware of it. I'm very aware. Like, I'm not going to do some silly things. I'm not going to make silly mistakes during eclipse season. And when I talk about making silly mistakes, it would be like spending too much money, like overindulgence would be a really silly mistake during eclipse season. Deciding, like making decisions to like starting a new relationship right now with somebody that you don't know, that you have no reference of, might not necessarily be the right thing to do. So, you know what I mean? Like, just really having the best of intentions for yourself. And even when you have other people have the best intentions for you, it's not always your best intentions, like some people think that they're, doing the best for you or whatever. And nobody actually knows that, know that. So you have to set the tone for that. So let's look at the charts. Here we go. Saturday. April 23rd. And we have the moon in Aquarius here, square the sun up here in Taurus. And Mercury will join the North Node. This is like 4:30 in the afternoon. So Mercury really joins the North Node earlier in the day, but you're going to really feel it all day. It's going to be a really stimulating kind of, like, you may have a lot of really great conversations with other people. A lot of times when we're talking about like the North Node transits, as a whole, there's just sort of a desire to show up for the world in a different kind of way. When it's, people may start to really want to voice how they feel about the things that are happening in the world and the changes that need to happen and stuff like that. You may have a lot of talk about values, your value system, and, your career or money, or wherever Taurus is sitting in your chart. Like, for example, Taurus, I'm a Libra rising, and Taurus is in my 8th house. So I'm having this North Node transit going on in my 8th house. The solar eclipse is happening in my 8th house, and I'm actually moving, and I'm moving from my childhood home. So I'm during a Pluto retrograde in my 4th house and an 8th house, North Node and Uranus transit. So the 8th house is about sharing spaces and getting in, deeper relationships with other people and sharing finances. And it's also about change and transformation and making, big changes in your life. And it can often, the 8th house can often be a very difficult house to deal with, right? So when you look at where Taurus is in your chart, you can see where the discussions, the conversations that you might be having with other people. This is Mercury conjunct the North Node is going to show you a lot of things about the solar eclipse that will be happening, and paying attention to what comes up for you during the weekend will give you some clues to maybe what it is that you need to release in order for you to have a better relationship with your career, or better relationship with money, or better relationship with your environment, or whatever that is for you. So, and because it's also about values, right? Like having the Taurus North Node, we're looking at values in a different kind of way. It's not about the ways of the past. And it's a very, we don't want things to be so rigid anymore. And that's like kind of the shift that's happening. There's more of a, a needing to change the value system approach that's happening. So pay attention to what this Mercury is going to show you. The strategizing nature of Taurus has us all looking for natural ways of creating. How can we stimulate change? How can we work from the earth? How can we better the environment? And it's not about placing it on the younger generations. It's not their fault that the environment is shit. It's not even my generation's fault that the environment's shit. It's everybody's fault, right? It's not just one generation's problem. It's all of our problems. And it's funny because we have like this huge battle between generational traumas and issues and wounds and what the fuck ever. Excuse my language, but we all are going through it, and each generation brings the next kind of trauma. So instead of looking at it like, oh, it's somebody else's fault and it's somebody else to blame, now is the time for us to take responsibility for it. And that's all the Taurus values, right? And so our values are changing, and we're looking at them differently. Late night, the Aquarius moon will sextile Chiron. So really late at night, we'll sextile Chiron in Aries, and then we'll also square Uranus in Taurus. So if you're out this weekend, please be careful while you're driving. Please, I know that the Aquarius moon isn't like super duper wild or anything like that, but when there's a moon square to Uranus, and a sextile to Chiron, like the moon is touching two different ways to dramatically change your life, so paying attention to things, really making sure that the words that you're saying and the actions that you're taking are for the best intention for you and everybody else involved in what's going on. And like, just, try to, just try not to hurt yourself and other people. On Sunday, we have the Aquarius moon joining Saturn and square Mercury. So we see here, it's already 3:30 in the afternoon. The moon is here with Saturn, and then is going to square, the moon will also square Mercury. But that also means that Mercury will square Saturn on Sunday as well. And Mercury will be sextile to Neptune. Now, the square to Saturn is going to be felt much more than the sextile to Neptune. There is a possibility that you could get a little creativity out of that Mercury sextile Neptune, especially if you are not somebody that allows restrictions to get in your way. But Mercury square to Saturn will probably be felt in a much bigger way. And it's really going to be like, if you have tasks that need to be taken care of, Sunday's the day to do it. Like if you have chores to be taken care of, Sunday's the day to do it. I think the Mercury square Saturn is going to override that Mercury sextile Neptune, which kind of stinks a little bit because I love a good Mercury sextile Neptune. Like you can really, I get super creative during that energy. And this is Taurus and Pisces. Like these are two of some of the most creative signs. So, let's see, you may find it difficult to communicate on Sunday to others. If you are struggling mentally, this can also be a day that can create more negativity. Like if you aren't able to change the narrative in your mind, if there are things that are going on in your head and you're not able to change that narrative, you could have a lot of mental criticisms going on. So be nice to yourself. And then we even have the moon shift to Pisces on Monday. And sometimes when we're already in that really heavy Aquarius moon, and especially since Saturn has been in Aquarius, but we're already in that really heavy Aquarius moon, and then we get that shift to Pisces, we're still in the depths, like like all this Pisces energy, Pisces on Pisces. We have the moon and Mars and Venus and Neptune and Jupiter. And so we're just sort of drowning in Pisces right now. If you are able to be creative this weekend or this week, or get things accomplished this week, Monday and Tuesday are going to be really nice creative days. The moon, and actually Wednesday, because as the moon moves closer to Aries, I think we're going to get a little bit more energy than when it's in Pisces. But Monday we'll have the moon in Pisces sextile the sun in Taurus, and we'll join Mars in Pisces. So be sextile the sun and conjunct Mars. And creativity really begs for days like this. You may feel like you're drowning and you really can't breathe, or more alive than ever. And it really depends on where you are mentally and what you're doing in your life, and if you're focusing on your soul's journey. If you're like in a really lackluster situation and life doesn't look too exciting and things are a little bit, boring, then this week is probably might be a little bit depressing. So, finding play and finding time to spend with yourself, and really finding, that inner love, and like finding unconditional love for yourself during Pisces, during all of this energy in Pisces is exactly what it is meant to do. But a lot of people, instead of finding unconditional love, it's the opposite happens. There's a negative and a positive to everything. And the opposite happens. And instead they just dig up all of this shadowy aspects of themselves, and they can't get over it. And they stew in it. Right. And so it just feels like you're drowning. So really depending on where you are with your mental, and if you are having a difficult time mentally, reach out. We all have to learn how to do that. We all have to understand that it is not a weakness. Everybody goes through difficult moments, and reaching out is the easiest way to feel better about that. Tuesday, the 26th, we have the moon in Pisces. Look at all of this Pisces energy. The moon in Pisces will sextile Uranus and will sextile Mercury, but will also join Jupiter and Neptune and Venus. Look at all of this. And Mercury begins his pre-shadow retrograde at 26 degrees. Mercury up here begins his pre-shadow retrograde. He will begin retrograde in Gemini on May 10th. So during this time, from now until Mercury begins retrograde on the 10th, this is the time that we want to look at all of the themes that would bring, for the Mercury retrograde. And so and Mercury will retrograde in Gemini and Taurus. So during Gemini, it'll be about communication, and it'll be about traveling, and it'll be about technology and in your car, and like just, the things that like require movement, or, brain functions and stuff like that, or not require movement, but the traveling and the technology, that's all associated with Gemini and Mercury. And Mercury is going to be in his domicile during that time at home. And it'll just be chaos with Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Mercury retrograde in Taurus won't necessarily be as much chaos, but will probably feel pretty slow, and just kind of like you're kind of trudging through quicksand. Really is what it's probably going to feel like, especially with all of this Pisces stuff going on. So between now and then, things that you can do to really help yourself during the Mercury retrograde: make sure that your vehicle is serviced, make sure that you have all of your gadgets up to date, make sure that if you have any kind of contracts that are going to be signed during Mercury retrograde, just make sure you're reading all of them. Like, I am not a fan of telling people to stop their lives or to not do things or whatever. Like, please continue to go on with your life, buy that car, do all of those things, just to make sure that you're being very discerning about it. Like, really be aware of, the steps that you're making. Mercury retrograde is the time where the energy is stronger. Mercury energy is stronger. And that's where we trip ourselves up, because Mercury is already the fastest of us all. So yeah, so during this, from the 26th of April until May 10th, you have all that time to be able to do that. Also, there will be themes that come up. So just really pay attention to what's happening, and then you can act accordingly. Does that mean that Mercury retrograde will be completely amazing and awesome for you? Probably not. But the more you allow yourself to get prepared for it, it happens 3 times a year and everybody freaks out about it every single time. And I'm like, we've all survived it 3 times every year of our life. And this year, I think it's 4 times actually. Anyway. The moon will join Venus and Neptune late night, just in time to get soft and intimate. So Tuesday evening will be nice and slow and, lovely. Wednesday, the 27th, we have the moon in Pisces will join Jupiter just before the ingress to Aries in the mid morning. So like it says 3:30 here again, but like it's like around 11 a.m. Central, I think, is when the moon ingresses Aries on Wednesday. Be sure to start the day grounded. Be sure that you are getting centered on, because this is kind of one of those days where you can you're going to probably feel pretty good. Most people may feel pretty good. But it's really easy to slip up and miss things with this kind of shift of energy that's going to happen. So we'll have Mercury in Taurus, sextile Jupiter in Pisces. We also have this lovely Venus conjunct Neptune happening at the same time. So super fun day. I think that this is going to be the best day of the week, to be quite honest. Mercury in Taurus, sextile Jupiter in Pisces is going to be a really great time to plan for any creative future adventures. Being clear about what you want in life will really keep you focused. Travel is also good for this transit. So whether you're planning on traveling, planning travels will be good on Wednesday. Venus conjunct Neptune. So Venus conjunct Neptune can go one of 2 ways. And because we have the Mercury sextile Jupiter, it's feel good energy, but it's also kind of energy where you can daydream so much that you're sort of missing out on the reality of things. Venus conjunct Neptune at its best can be all about love and oneness and spirituality and feeling connected to all that is, and, really feeling at its highest level of joy, and abundance. And, there's no pettiness or, whatever. That's at its highest, right? But at its lowest, there is pettiness. Venus is not just all rainbows and butterflies. Venus is all about justice. She can be very, very jealous. She can be very, jealous and envious and bitter. She really can. And if you haven't read up the story of Venus, she's oftentimes portrayed as the love guru, and she's short-term love. She's creative love. She's the fast kind of love. If you want to look to long-term relationships, you're going to look more at Saturn also. But because Saturn gets such a bad name, nobody wants to think about that. Having good long-term relationships, that, you have to learn some lessons about yourself. And that's what Saturn is there for. Venus just wants what she wants, basically. So in joining Neptune, we know that Neptune, kind of sucks the energy out of whatever is going on with Venus and kind of takes it upon himself to do whatever he wants with that energy. So again, it really depends on where you are mentally, how you're going to be feeling. On the other side of, the good is about the love and the oneness and being connected to everybody. On the other side of it, you could really be disappointed if you have expectations. If you put high expectations onto other people, you could get really disappointed during this time. So, remembering that we are the ones that have to make ourselves happy. It's not about somebody else making us happy. It's about us making ourselves happy. And then the bonus of other people in our lives doing things for us to make us happy. A lot, just not being unrealistic. If you can allow yourself to love without attachments, or, Venus in Pisces just wants unconditional love, just wants to love, love, love. Kind of, Venus in Aquarius is the same way. It's just not as loud as Venus in Pisces is. So lots of creative daydreaming can also happen on this day. You may also feel kind of selfless and more empathetic towards other people. And this may also be a time where you start to want your voice to be heard as well for other people, which is a theme that's going to be growing as we get through the next coming weeks, standing up and being everybody's advocate. Okay. So Thursday, we have on the 28th, we have the moon in Aries joining Chiron. So again, every single month when we have the moon join Chiron, there's always a possibility for emotional triggers and, for you to heal some wounds that come up in the emotional triggers. Mercury will also be trying Pluto this day. So people may be a little bit on edge. You see where the roller coaster, where like Wednesday is this really lovely day with Neptune conjunct Venus, or Venus conjunct Neptune, and everything's just lovely. And then we move into the moon in Aries, and immediately Mercury trines Pluto. And, especially if you're not doing well mentally, this could be a very angry day for you. Everyone may be looking into situations a little deeper. People could be really paranoid, especially if they're not doing well. Your OCD may rear its ugly head during this time. Be really sure that you're not making mountains out of molehills. And I've done that before. Guilty. This is a day that you could really make things bigger than they actually are, and also stay open-minded. You could learn a lot of things. This is a day where your ego could be in charge more. And so if your ego's in charge more, you're not listening, and oftentimes I have to remind myself that when I'm talking, I'm not listening, and I talk a lot. So yeah, really stay open-minded. Maybe not so much, be very careful about driving, just pay attention to the driving on Thursday. Actually pay attention to the driving on Thursday and Friday. Friday, we have the moon in Aries and will sextile Saturn. And there's going to be a lot of know-it-all energy, especially as we're still coming off that, Mercury trine Pluto from the day before. And then we also have Mercury moving into ingress. We have Mercury ingressing Gemini in the evening. So yeah. Mercury in Gemini. So Mercury really likes being in Gemini because he's at home and he rules Gemini in the 3rd house. He also rules Virgo in the 6th house. We are all, during Mercury in Gemini, we all sort of become a little bit more curious. We become a little bit more chatty. Some people I'm raising 2 Mercury and Geminis, and they're very witty individuals. Mercury and Gemini individuals are, can tell jokes for days, and they can do a lot of wordplay and a lot of puns, and it's just very, very entertaining. The thing with that is that the moon is in Aries, so everybody is going to be on one probably with this first day Mercury in Gemini. And again, remember that we're really the next time Mercury goes into Gemini, it will be the first day of Gemini season, and it will combust the sun. So pay attention to that first day of Gemini at 0 degrees with Mercury and Gemini, because whatever that Mercury and Gemini combust the sun day is, that's going to come out even louder and even bigger. Mercury will retrograde in Gemini on May 10th and will go back into Taurus and direct on June 3rd in Taurus. and then ingress Gemini again on the 13th of June. So, and then we also on the 29th have Pluto retrograde in Capricorn at 28 degrees. And I believe that happens a little bit earlier in the day as well, like mid-afternoon. Pluto begins retrograde. And so Pluto has been in his pre-shadow period since January. So if you think back at the last 4 months about the changes that you've had, and I'm also doing an entire Pluto, we're going to talk about this retrograde and what it's meant for the shadow period and what actually like Pluto and Capricorn means and moving into Aquarius and what it means for, the Pluto and Capricorn, what it means for each of the rising signs as well. So keep a lookout for that video. I may just link it at the end of this one too. So Pluto and Capricorn has been in his pre-shadow since January. So whatever transformations, whatever changes that need to happen in whatever area that Pluto and Capricorn is transiting in your chart, that's really this retrograde is having you look at the changes that you made in the first 4 months of this year. And Pluto will be retrograde until October. And then we'll go through a post-shadow period for a few months as well. So, but paying attention to the changes that you made at the beginning of this year and what needs to be addressed. Pluto is about the evolution of your soul. Pluto represents the evolution of your soul, and we all have to change and transform to go through the evolution of our souls. And so check out that video so you can get an idea of how the Pluto retrograde will be affecting you. So then we have special. Let's look at the Taurus solar eclipse real quick. Okay, so Saturday the 30th, 4:28 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we have the solar eclipse in Taurus at 10 degrees. It will conjoin after its eclipse to the sun. The moon will conjoin Uranus. And the moon will also be sextile Mars as well. And we also have Venus conjunct Jupiter. Venus conjunct Jupiter is really, there's a lot of, wanting to build relationships and finding abundance. Venus conjunct Jupiter is actually a really great time to manifest, new things in your life, wherever the conjunction is happening. And, and wherever this conjunction in Pisces is happening for you, it can really be a great time to manifest. But the solar eclipse is showing us the parts of our lives that aren't resonating in our alignment anymore. And, in our soul's alignment and our journey alignment. And so wherever the eclipse is happening in Taurus in your chart, you're having to allow yourself to look at it differently and be like, what do I need to do in order to improve? What do I need to do? Taurus is all about being the best and doing the best, and is a very hard worker. And at the same time, we got to be softer to ourselves. So creating that bridge and that gap during this solar eclipse and allowing yourself to see that, yes, you deserve all those things that you really want to manifest, but there are certain aspects of your life that are restricting you from seeing that you deserve that. And so that's how I want people to really see the solar eclipse that's coming up with Taurus. Now, the solar eclipse that's happening in Scorpio on May 15th or 16th, depending on where you are in the world, that's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a lot harder than this Taurus eclipse. So, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Eclipse energy can sometimes be very, very heavy. So no matter what kind of amazing abundance and manifestation energy that we have going on around us, that eclipse energy is going to wipe us out anyways, you know, so there may not be a lot that we can do there. You know, the Taurus moon, it's just a heavy kind of moon anyways. And a lot of that is because self-care, self-care, self-care. You know, we've got, you know, we have to pay attention to our own self-care as well. So that's why sometimes the Taurus moon like smacks us on our asses, because it's just like, no, you have to pay attention and you have to rest. It's a time of rest. It's not a time of doing, right? So and Venus conjunct Jupiter in Pisces can also be a really beautiful time to work on your self-care and work on your health. You know, go get a pedicure that day and like really love on yourself, like find that love and abundance with yourself. You don't have to jump into a relationship just because Venus is conjunct Jupiter. You know, like that's not, you don't have to go spending money during the solar eclipse will only prove to hurt you, like spending money on things that you haven't been planning to spend money on, just like impulse buying or overspending. That could be a real thing as well. So just pay attention to all of that. All right. So, couple of things just really quick. People ask me how they can help out all the time. So I'm always wanting to get that out to you guys. A couple of the best ways that you can help me right now: become a member of the channel where you get access to readings. The top tier membership, you get access to Discord. We do a lot of, you know, we're really talking on almost on a daily basis over on Discord. The lower tier membership, you get all 12 of the zodiac signs, but all members will have access to personal readings with me. And they'll also have access to taking classes first. And right now I have an astrology 101, learning how the journey to learning how to read your birth chart is available for members only. So that is a way that you can support me while I'm going through these treatments and looking for new and better treatments all the time. And also there's some donation links in the description box where you can send donations. The PayPal link, the Buy Me Coffee link is also in the description box. So lots of ways that you can help. And we will have a new fundraiser as well coming up. So I appreciate everybody's support. Thanks for hanging out with me for another week. And like, let's do this Taurus season. It's going to be a very interesting ride. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.